the last session of the weekend here for the GRIDLIFE Track Battle Championship. After 7 heats of qualifying, it's now time for Podium Sprint. And this is where we send cars out, the top 5 from each category, in a group together. They get 3 flying laps, Ito, and whichever car is the fastest gets the big trophy at the end.
Yeah, that's right. This is the jewel of the weekend for these time attack competitors. This new format that we debuted two years ago has really flipped the game on its head. In the past, we've had issues or we've had times where competitors would only run in the morning session, set their best time, and then park the car for the rest of the event. Not this time, not this format. This format forces you to compete head-to-head against your fellow competitors in the same conditions, with the same at the same time, to determine who's going to be the winner of the event.
Yeah, again, this is all about, competing against each other. We've tried to get track records in the mornings when the weather's cool and things of the sort, but at the tail end of the day, you're not going to go faster. The track's warmer. The track is covered in drift rubber and things, but now it's all about competing against those that you've been running up against all weekend long. 3 laps to lay down 1 good flying lap and come away with the trophy here this weekend. So, in Falcon Club SC, those cars are on track. Again, 25-1 power to weight. Here comes the first driver. It's David Best, the top seed coming into this event, and off into turn 1 here,
Yeah, and David Best reset the Club SC front-wheel drive record with a 50.9. He's not going to be anywhere near that in this session. This is all about how much better he can execute a flawless lap versus his fellow competitors.
Mike Jansen is going to be the second car on the track, but here's David Best leading the way into turn number 3 at the moment. You see the Gold Pass sticker above the door card, a season-long competitor here this year, and now the track record holder coming into this event, and will likely hold it for the next year. There he is.
Yep, that's right. I know he's very proud of getting that track record. We also saw him at CMP, where he was also in the Podium Sprint. Didn't quite perform to the standard that he expected from himself. He's looking for his first win here this weekend.
Yeah, so we'll see if he can get the job. He's never won a time attack event, has he?
I think he did win one event last year, but I can't remember off the top of my head. He's a very, very capable driver, he has a very good methodology, very calm presence behind the wheel. So it's going to be really fun to watch him compete here. Mike Jansen was only 2 tenths behind him, or even less than 2 tenths behind him in the overall order. So I think we're really looking at the battle between Best and Jansen, and we'll see which one can come out on top.
Well, he came in 5th at Carolina Motorsports Park into the only round he's competed at this year, and that was just qualifying into Podium Sprint. Didn't come away with a trophy here. So we'll see what he's got, and we'll follow Jansen dueling Mukherjee and Rice and see if they can go even quicker here. We're sort of almost in reverse order from what we saw at CMP as far as the ordering is concerned, with Rice at the bottom in the seating here. But here comes David Best to complete his first flying lap. Let's see what he's got. Lap 1. Needs to beat a 150.995 to break the track record. We're unlikely to see that. 52.9 first lap out.
Yeah, that's a good time in these conditions from him. We'll see what Jansen comes in. He's coming through turn 11 now. So now we're going to be comparing all their times to each other in these conditions. Let's see what Jansen can do as he crosses the start-finish line now.
See if Jansen can go above Best, and he cannot. It's close. 52.926, a hundredth of a second between these two cars. Drops the tires in the dirt. Here comes Sam dueling now in the 370.
Yeah, and Sam himself was on his pace for a 150 lap before he got held up with traffic on Friday morning. So let's see if he can redeem himself here in the Podium Sprint.
153.534, not enough to jump up ahead of Jansen or Best. Ryan Mukherjee will be the next driver to come across the stripe. There he is in the 144. Turns it in, throws that Honda Fit in, bouncing wildly over the bumps at turn 11.
Yeah, those shocks doing the work, trying to keep that car in control. Let's see what he does as he crosses the finish line now.
P4. So far, well, actually, that time got deleted. We'll see if it pops back up. But so far, everyone, oh, there it goes, P3, 153.072. And Chris Rice, reigning champ here in Club SC.
And watching Chris Rice drive around here, he really tosses it into turn 5 and 6, and that car gets really loose, skates all the way around turn 5 and 6. Mukherjee is less than a tenth, or just over a tenth, behind Best and Jansen for the lead here. Rice, a 56.659, not quite up to pace here.
Sideways at turn 1, too. That car wasn't gripping the way that he needed it to, so we'll see if David Best can improve on his time. Again, here he is up the back straightaway now. Nice, clear racetrack, plenty of space, no traffic, no nothing like that. And we talked to Dewey, before this event, and he said that's really one of the best things about this podium sprint. There's no traffic, nothing to deal with.
Yep.
It's just you and the racetrack.
Yeah, it's hand-to-hand combat between the top 5 competitors in your class with no excuses. Best finds 0.7 of a second on that lap. That's a great second lap for David Best. Let's see if Jansen can match him on his second lap.
Yeah, that was a big pickup to a 152.275. If Jansen can do the same in that Honda Civic, it would put him right up close to him across the stripe. And it is this time, it looks like no pickup.
Let's see on this last lap, a 53.1, so he slowed up by 0.2 of a second. That's not a good sign for Jansen. He's opening the door for Sam Dooling, Ryan Mukherjee, and Chris Rice to come and take that second spot away from him.
Here comes Dooling across the stripe. Drove this car all the way to Laguna Seca last year to compete. He jumps up to second place, a 152.655.
Huge improvement for Sam Dooling. That's great to see. So now he's got the second spot. Let's see if Ryan Mukherjee can find time. He was less than 0.2 of a second behind David Best after the first lap. So let's see if he also finds some time out there.
Across the stripe for Mukherjee. This time through, what's it going to be? Quick enough to jump up the order? The answer to that question is no. 53.072 stays P4 for now.
Ran a 53.644, so he slowed down. One more lap to go for him.
Chris Rice on the outside looking in on a podium right now. P5 at a couple seconds off. Maybe lap 1 was a warm-up. He knows he has 3. And by the way, David Best is on his final lap, and so is everyone else now. Chris Rice beginning his final lap, a 53.766. It's a big gain, but not enough to move him up the order.
No, it's extremely competitive up top here. Best and Dooling separated by less than 0.4 of a second. Here comes David Best on his last lap. Going through turn 11 now. He's about to get the checkered flag on this for his third and final lap. He's done everything he needs to do. He's hit his marks. He's very much on pace, only about 1.2 seconds slower than his record time. Great run for David Best. Let's see what he can do.
No
Looks
pickup.
like does not find time.
That's the benchmark, 152.275. That's what's going to win this if no one else can defeat it. Mike Jansen through the last corner in the Honda Civic. Can he jump on top of the podium with a run across the line? Here comes the Honda Civic across the stripe. Needs to beat a 152.275, and he does. 152.126.
Wow, what a great run from Mike Jansen. He must have cooled the car down a little bit on that second lap and really went for it on that third lap. What a great battle here we have for the podium. Let's see what Sam Dooling can do.
Across the stripe for the 370. Is it a pickup? It's a 152.274 by 1,000th of a second. Goes ahead of David Best by 1/1,000th of a second. Here comes Mukherjee. Can he do anything about the podium here? Can he put that 144 Honda Fit right up on top of the podium? Can he knock Dooling off? Can he knock Best off across the stripe for Mukherjee? Here he comes across the line. Checkered flag for the 4th of the 5 seeds, and it will not be a pickup. It will not be an improvement. He will stay 4th.
David Best was by far the best driver in those first 2 laps. He executed perfect laps, and then Jansen and Dooling just did slightly more perfect laps. What an amazing battle here. Chris Rice, let's see if he can knock David Best off the podium here on his last lap here.
Going to need to pick up a 2nd and 6/10 across the stripe for Chris Rice. Reigning champion this time through. It is a pickup, but not enough. Mike Jansen, 152.126 is the winning time in Falcon Club SC. Sam Dooling 2nd, David Best 3rd by 1/1,000th of a second.
Hugely impressive performance from Mike Jansen. He takes the win by 1.5 tenths, and Sam Dooling got the best of David Best by 1/1000th of a second. That's how close it is here at the top of Club SC. These guys are so talented. I wonder if Sam Dooling bolted on newer tires for Podium Sprint. I did talk to him earlier in the weekend, and he said once he got a guaranteed spot in Podium Sprint, he was going to try and save his tires for it. So maybe that's what we see here. He was not in the 52s at any point in the afternoon sessions yesterday. So hugely impressive for Sam Dooling to come in and set that time.
Adam Jabay is pretty stoked out there on the flag stand, just knowing how tight the times were. That is, again, this category. Look, a 10th covering the top 3. That is so impressive. So, well, Chris Rice, I've been disappointed by this weekend.
I think Chris Rice really had a lot of setup issues. He was fighting a lot of setup issues, I think, this weekend for him. And just my thoughts are with David Best here. I know how much he wanted to win this, but he did such a fantastic job. Losing by 1,000th of a second is nothing to be ashamed of. Wow, that is to be in the lead by a good margin heading into the third lap. And he wasn't that far on pace. He did a 52.5 on his last lap. I really think he got the most out of that car, and he was just a little bit outdriven by Mike Jansen. And 1,000th, that's, you know, if he just didn't have that drink before he caught his podium sprint, that would have been the 1,000th there. Like, it's crazy.
And David Best will walk away with an additional point for claiming a track record here earlier in the race weekend. Falcon Club TR on the racetrack now, and Mario Moroni, the top seed in the 727 Honda Civic EG. There he is on the racetrack in the turn number 9 area, on to down to 10B.
Yeah, I saw he didn't run this morning because he had a cut in one of the sidewalls of one of his tires, so it looks like he did get it replaced for this podium sprint session. We'll see if he can take the win. He had transmission problems at CMP that forced him out of the podium sprint. When he had reset the track record at CMP, he was the favorite heading into the podium sprint, and he had transmission problems that kept him from competing. Yeah,
again, track record 137.751 claimed by this car earlier in the weekend. Unlikely to go faster than that right now, but that doesn't matter. All he needs to do is go faster than his Falcon Club TR compatriots behind him. Beginning the flying lap now for this Honda Civic. Big slide into turn 1. Is he going to go off? He does.
Oh, no.
And this is catastrophic for Mario Moroni. And the rule has been, if you go off, disqualification.
Oh no, what a terrible... The thing about podium sprint is, the rule in all of GridLife Time Attack is a 4-off negates your time for that session. So unless you report in normal sessions, you can report in after your 4-off, negate the laps before the 4-off, and try and reset it. That does not apply in podium sprint. A 4-off in podium sprint disqualifies you from podium sprint. What a heartbreak for Mario Moroni. I have my hands, nobody can see this, but I have my hands on my head.
It's just one of those things where you have 3 laps to get it done, which is 1 more than you had previously. So you don't need to go 11 tenths into turn 1, and there's a reason why you shouldn't in some cases, because if you throw it all away, you don't have no chance of recovering. Heartbreak for Mario Moroni.
Complete heartbreak. Podium sprint is such an amazing format because of that. It puts so much pressure on the driver to be inch perfect, to execute a perfect lap 3 times in a row with no margin for error. And sometimes it just bites you in the butt. You try too hard. You have the pressure of the people behind you who could set better lap times than you, and sometimes it just gets in your head just a little bit too much. My heart goes out to Mario Moroni. That's truly heartbreaking.
Yep. Well, Stan Feingold, opportunity here in the 326 in the K-Swap Toyota 86. Again, he is going to now be effectively the top seed. Yep. So we'll see what he can do with this car. Struggled with it a lot last year with just reliability at this event in particular, so wasn't really ever able to focus. Mario Moroni comes across the stripe.
Stayed out there.
Yeah, but it was a 48-1 anyway, obviously, because of that spin. But here comes Feingold across the stripe, and it will be for Stan, a 139.904, puts him top step for now.
Yeah, so just to give context there, Club TR, he ran a 38.3, so that's actually extremely impressive. Excuse me, sorry, I misread the number, 39.9, so about 2.2 seconds slower than his fast time.
Mike Bryant has been really good all weekend long, jumps up to second place to 140.898.
Yeah, just about 2.1 seconds. The Club SC competitors were closer to their fastest lap times compared to these Club TR guys. So it could be that they're just taking a little bit of more time to warm up those tires, as we see Jeremy Bailey come through turn 11 and through the start-finish on his first-time lap.
Yeah, winner of the Carolina Motorsports Park event in podium sprint in this format. A little bit of an upset there. Jumps to third quick, 141.013.
Yeah, about 2.3 seconds slower. And Peter Granberg, your 5th place qualifier, now coming down to his first lap.
And Peter Granberg was 5th at Road Atlanta last time out, and 4th at the moment, 141.548. He's been chasing things a little bit here this weekend.
Yeah, so again, about 2.5 seconds. So everybody right now is about more than 2 seconds, but they're coming up to pace slowly. They got to come up to pace slowly. For Mario, he could just be thinking, I'm just going to put the time out there. I just want my time to speak for itself. Even if it doesn't count, I want my time to speak for itself. And let's see what he can do on his second flying lap with no offs this time around.
Yeah, just see if he's gathered it back up enough to knock a good time on the board, and it will be a 140.207.
Yeah, a decent effort, but Stan Feingold.
Oh, he's going to go off track again.
That car
Almost.
is diabolically loose on entry.
And we've seen this before. CMP a couple of years ago, he spun at turn 1. We've seen him spin here at turn 9. I mean, it's so quick, but it's so darty.
Yep, and front-wheel drive cars, sometimes you have to set it up that way to get it to turn in on entry, and then you really rely on the front-wheel drive drivetrain to stabilize you on the exit as Mike Bryant now comes to the line in that NC Miata.
And Feingold did improve slightly. Bryant did not. 148.98 is where he will stay. And here comes Bailey on the backstretch in the blue, number 13.
Yeah, and Bryant slowed down by about half a second there. So let's see what Jeremy Bailey can do on his second run. He goes to the top, a 39.820. That takes the lead by less than a tenth of a second, 75 thousandths of a second. Let's see if Peter Granberg can also find some time out there, but we've got a battle here for the top 2 spots.
We do, and this is going to be their last lap around as well. So Granberg a 141.57. It's going to, again, bump him back up ahead of Maroney.
Yep.
But Jeremy Bailey, again, in a position where he could potentially win a second race weekend.
Mike Bryant is only 0.2 of a second behind Jeremy Bailey here, so we do have an all-out battle here for the top 3 as we see Mario Maroney come back in for his 3rd lap. Let's see whether he can put some sort of asterisk next to his name to see if he can get a faster time, at least on raw pace.
Across the stripe that time, and it is a 39.707.
But
so
it's not going to matter.
It's going to be so frustrating. Here comes Stan Feingold out of the final corner. And checkered flag here for Stan Feingold. What does he have? Is it going to be quicker than Bailey? It is a 139. It will update here shortly. There it is, 139.658 for Stan Feingold. So that is good enough to go to the top of the board. Here comes Bryant.
A solid improvement in this format. Let's see if Mike Bryant can find more time himself. It's not that much of a gain, so he's leaving the door a little bit open here.
Bryant does not pick up.
No, looks like a 41.366 for Mike Bryant.
Okay, here comes Jeremy Bailey now. 1 at CMP in the final moments. He won't be the last car across the line this time, but he's going to stand a good chance of winning his 2nd event of the season if he can just pick up a couple of tenths of a second across the stripe for Jeremy Bailey. What's it going to be across the stripe?
All eyes.
Nothing.
No help, a 41.277. So Peter Granberg is about to finish his 3rd lap. Let's see if he can find any more time. They're still very close. He's not that far away from the top 3 here.
And across the stripe for Granberg, 140.157 is where it's going to stay. So P5 like he did at Road Atlanta. Stan Feingold picks up not only the track record in the rear-wheel drive subcategory this year, he's also going to win the weekend and grab a podium trophy.
Yeah, a great drive from Stan Feingold to take the win here with Jeremy Bailey coming in 2nd with a 39.820, just about 0.165 seconds behind Feingold, and Mike Bryant taking that 3rd place spot in that NC Miata. And now we're going to switch our attention here to street, where we have Spaz Miller out there. Well, he's out there first. At least he's on the timing display, but I don't see anybody out there, so we haven't released street quite yet.
Yeah, I think if they roll by the timing loop, sometimes they can trip it, but again, street class will be up next, and Stan Feingold in that K-Swap 86 is going to head back to pit lane. And the fun thing about this too is the drivers don't know. They can roughly guess where they're at, but you don't know until you come back to the pit lane where you are.
Yeah, I would be curious to know if you can hear it on the PA going down the front straightaway, especially with my voice being as loud as it is. I get a little bit too excited on the microphone here. And now out on your screen here, you see the start of street. Your leader, Andy Holst, who kind of came out of nowhere and surprised everybody in street. He set the new street all-wheel drive record at 34.859, which is blistering. Just for context, the Street GT leader ran a 34.3, making probably 100 more horsepower and weighing probably 100 pounds less with more tire. 315s versus 255s on the Lancer. That's a hugely impressive time from Andy Holst. So, but it's a different format now. He's got to put it together in 3 laps. This isn't all about just throwing it at the wall and seeing what sticks. This is about consistency, cleanliness. So all the pressure is on him. Let's see whether he can perform in these conditions. And then there's Brad Moore, who reset the rear-wheel drive street record in that Cayman. Josh Halka is ahead of them on the road, in between them in that Subaru. He was your leader until Andy Holst came by. And then Mike Coons there in that WRX, and then Spaz Miller is going to be in the Evo behind him. So let's see what we can do. Again, Andy Holst coming out of nowhere to reset the street record by a large margin over Luca Barberis. I think it was 0.8 of a second, and Luca is no slouch. So very impressive, but let's see if he can do that again in this podium sprint format. We've already seen it bite somebody in the butt with a 4-off. So let's see if he can do this cleanly and consistently to take the win here.
Yeah, and again, Spaz Miller impressed us this morning with the time that qualified him into the podium sprint, last possible moment. Andy Holst throttles up towards the start-finish line to begin his 2.2-mile excursion of GingerMan Raceway across the stripe. And we'll see what he's got. And again, you don't need to lay down a track record time. You just need to be better than everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. A nice, clean turn 1 for him. Setting up well for turn 2. Hits the apex and powers out of it. That neutral steer rotation from that car. Beautifully done through turn 2. Here he comes into turn 3. Breaks at around the 2.5 marker. A little bit of a late turn in. Misses the apex of 3 a little bit, but stays out on track. Again, it's all about the fastest time you can set in the session, so he doesn't necessarily have to do it here on this first lap. Here it comes into turn 5, a very, very tricky set of corners. You're constantly on the brakes, the weight shifts forward, you lose grip in the rear. Again, misses the apex of 6. He's pushing really hard out there.
Yeah, this track is so flat that these all-wheel drive cars just love digging out of these corners. You can power slide out of them. You can really get grip down. There's not a lot of camber in a lot of these places, so it's ripe for all-wheel drive domination we've seen here in the past. Have a look to the street class track records at the top of the screen, just the difference between the three different subcategories. But Holst tracks nicely through turn 9 into 10B, and then the dig out of 10B to 11. This is really where this car is going to shine.
Yeah, he's cleaning it up now as he picks up the inside rear wheel and now powers out of 10B down the back straightaway. These cars can hit 140 miles an hour down the back straight, which is absolutely insane.
It's not a long straightaway.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what I did in my C6 Z06. These cars are so fast around here.
Andy Holst, last corner on lap number 1, bouncing and bobbling a little bit. Let's see what the lap time is going to be. The benchmark time to beat in street class here at GingerMan Raceway, it is going to be a 1:35.730.
That's only 0.9 of a second slower than his record time.
Wow.
That's hugely impressive. Man, he's really taking the fight to Halka and Moore, who are more seasoned competitors here in street. Let's see what Halka can do.
Halka across the line this time, and it's going to take it a moment to
36.0 is what I see on Speed Hive, so only about 0.3 back. That's still very impressive from Halka to be that close to his pace in these conditions. And now we see Brad Moore in that 718 Cayman.
Here comes Brad across the stripe of the 193. See what he's got. It's a 1:38.365. Stays P3 for now.
Yeah, so a little bit further off the pace than Halka and Holst. Let's see what Mike Coons can do in that WRX. Coming to the finish line now. Let's see if he can take the fight to Brad Moore at least. A 39.8, so not quite there. And let's see what Spaz Miller can do. He hasn't had that many sessions here. No. He got here, I think, Friday night.
There's only a couple laps on his motor. He said he was averaging about 7 laps at engine. Across the stripe this time, though, and it's a 39.821. It's going to put him, 37.305. Puts him third quick. That's impressive.
Yeah, very good job. About 1.3 seconds back from Halka, but we'll see if he kind of comes into his own here on these next couple laps as Holst is now coming to turn 11 on his second lap. Let's see if he can find some more time out there.
Turbo sounds cool. Down into the braking zone here for turn 11. And 35.730 is going to be hard to match. You also wonder about tire temperature on these all-wheel drive cars, even over the course of a few laps across the stripe. And no pickup, it looks like.
36.402 looks like, so he slowed down by about 0.7. That leaves the door open for Josh Halka to try and find some more time out there and take that top spot away from Andy.
And Halka across the line. 36.0 was his best time last time.
36.2 looks like is what he slows down by about 0.2 of a second. These cars probably aren't on Falcon RT660 pluses. I think most of them are on Yokohama's AO52s or Bridgestones. So those tires don't like as much heat as the Falcon RT660s do. They don't tolerate that heat as much. So a lot of the time they set their fastest laps on the first lap.
Here comes Brad Moore again. Is it going to be an improvement on a 38.365? And that time, it seems like everyone's
41.878 for Brad Moore there.
First lap is going to be the better one, I think. Let's see if Mike Coons can pick up. Maybe had some left on the table in that 310 car, and he did, but not enough to make up any spots. 139.060. Here comes the 55 of Spaz Miller.
Yeah, here comes Spaz Miller. He's been warming up to this slowly, so we'll see if he can put down a faster time here.
And 37.305 is what he ran. It's where he's going to stay.
3.39, so very, very consistent, but not picking up any time. We'll see if he can set something up here for his third lap.
I think he'll be stoked with a podium regardless because of where this car was a day ago. So
absolutely, he just swapped an engine since Road Atlanta, so I'm sure he'll be somewhat happy with that consolation prize.
And Holst getting after it, dropped a tire in the dirt. This is his final lap coming to the checkers, and Holst across the line. 35.7 is going to be the benchmark. That's all he's got.
36.402, so he slowed down by 0.7 there. Pretty consistent. Let's see if Halka has something in his bag. It's going to be hard to believe with the tires that they're running.
And Halka across the line. 35.884 picks up, but it's a 10th short of Andy Holst.
He found a ton of time there, but not enough to usurp Andy Holst for the win there. Only separated by 1.5 tenths of a second. Let's see if Brad Moore can do anything about it. He's going to try and get that last podium spot away from Spaz Miller in that Evo, who's going to come around a couple cars behind him.
Here comes Brad Moore, final corner here, currently fourth, not a trophy holding position across the stripe. 38.176 picks up, but not enough.
Yeah, not enough for Brad Moore there. Unfortunately, he'll stay in that fourth place spot. I'm sure a little bit disappointed with that as Mike Coons come to the finish on his last lap.
And Coons picks up, again, not enough. P5 for the 310. So Andy Holst in the gray Evo is going to get the job done here. Impressive drive.
Yeah, Spaz looks like he's slow down the back straight. So, hand out the window. So Andy Holst comes from out of nowhere in this strong street class this weekend to take the win in the podium sprint with Josh Halka in second and Spaz Miller in third. Yeah,
really impressive drive and pretty close there at the top, about a 10th and change between Andy Holst and Halka over the course of 2.2 miles here in street class. That is really fun. And again, the Evo versus Subaru battle continues. The legendary fight between these two makes and models of cars in GRIDLIFE Street Class. Year after year after year. The names and numbers might change, but it's Evo versus Impreza. Bring it on.
Yep. The titanic battle of the last 2 decades in Japanese all-wheel drive rally cars.
Street GT up next. Here comes Ryan Matthews, top seed in this category. It's going to be, is Luke McGrew still here? He sure is. Luke McGrew versus Ryan Matthews is going to be an epic brawl between these two guys.
Yeah, two, honestly, drivers that drive in a very similar style, both extremely clean in how they approach setting fast lap times. And they're going to be chased by Nick Hendricks, Dallas Reed, and Seth Brown. Nick Hendricks, he just bought that car. He changed from a C6 Grand Sport to C6 Z06, hoping to find more pace. And he's saying that he's having his clutch slip this weekend, and that's been really preventing him from setting down more competitive lap times. He's hoping that he can eke something out here in this unique format.
Well, Ryan Matthews won at Carolina Motorsports Park and had a track record there, 26 points to his name so far. Luke McGrew won at Road Atlanta and had a track record, 26 points to his name there. So it's going to be those two drivers going head-to-head, and I guess 3 is the tiebreaker, huh?
Yeah, and it's they're going to be fighting it out throughout the rest of the year. What a great battle for us to watch. Ryan Matthews with a 34.375. He set the pace by almost a second over Luke McGrew during the qualifying sessions, but none of that matters now. It's all about what you can execute here in the next 3 laps.
And the 30 car out on track is
Seth Brown.
Yeah, I'm impressed by this. This is a name that's relatively unknown to me in the GRIDLIFE TrackBattle Championship, at least with this car in this configuration. So to be a podium sprint shower in your first event, pretty solid.
Yeah, very impressive. An all Corvette podium sprint.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is. Mark Kilgore is he was racing in Road Atlanta, and I think he got second to Ryan Matthews. So he's going to be at Mid-Ohio in this next round of Road America as well. So we'll keep an eye on that as well.
Ryan Matthews, another clinical driver running 2 cars.
Yep.
Street Mod Corvette and a Street GT Corvette, 2 different machines also.
He has to finish this and then hop back into C5 Corvette in Street Mod, which is the next class up. So yeah, a little bit stressful for Ryan Matthews. He's getting a little bit sideways.
Where's he seated for Street Mod also?
He is seated in 4th. So
okay, so he has a little bit of time.
Yeah, I bet his car is parked here in the pits. So anyway,
I see it. It's actually right down the way from us here.
Yeah,
so you're right.
It'll be interesting to see whether he decides to run all 3 laps here. He may not. It's been a little bit of a rough first lap. He got pretty sideways on the exit of 3, a little bit messy. So we'll see if he gathers it back up and sets a competitive time here for his first lap. Coming into turn 8, the 8-9 complex now very, very tricky in this car. Trying to handle the power. You're in the top of 3rd gear, carrying so much speed, and then you can hit almost 110 miles an hour heading into 10B, which is pretty, it's sufficiently fast, let me tell you. Very, very difficult to keep it on the track. As he goes into, comes exiting out of 10A, again, you're trying to go as early on throttle as you can, and you're feathering it so you don't lose traction coming up that hill.
Down into turn 11, Ryan Matthews, championship leader in both Street GT and Street Mod. And at Road Atlanta, finished in 2nd to Luke McGrew. Well, he doesn't want to do that again today. Benchmark time, 1:35.736.
About 1.4 seconds off of his best time, but a solid lap for him. Let's see what Luke McGrew can do. He ran a 35.206, so if he can get anywhere near that, he'll have the lead here in Street GT.
McGrew across the line in the 717 car. Top of the board, 1:35.672. So that is by 1/10 of a second quicker than Matthews.
Solid lap from Luke McGrew. Let's see if Matthews can put something together on his second lap. And here comes Nick Hendricks, who's going to try and see if he can come closer to these guys with a slipping clutch.
Here he comes into turn 11. Looks a little tentative, if I had to say. See if he can throttle up. Again, these cars don't have a lot of over-body aero. They're very slick cars in a straight line.
Yeah, absolutely. They're little wedges that just kind of cut through the air there. Nick Hendricks, 38.810. Probably not the lap time that he was hoping for, but nonetheless as good as he can do. Here comes Dallas Reed in the C8 Z51 car.
More aero on this car, just evident by the rear wing on the back, but is it enough? No, it is not. 1:41.670, drops tires on the corner entry on drivers right. Here comes Seth Brown in the C5, the oldest of the Corvettes on display here.
Yeah, a very similar pace to a C6 Grand Sport. Let's see what he can do here. As the time, waiting for the times to update. Nothing quite yet. There it is, a 39.388. So he's into the 40s. So he takes that 4th spot away from Dallas Reed as Ryan Matthews comes through for his second. No, he's pitting in.
Wow.
Matthews is pitting in. He doesn't think he can go any faster on his second lap, whether that's because of the tires or some other mistake he's made. He's pulling in. He's going to hop into a Street Mod car. That means Luke McGrew is effectively doesn't have to defend anything. We'll see if he finds any more time regardless.
Yeah, that's a little surprising to me because this was the category that he was leading more comfortably.
Yep.
You'd think that he would focus on the trophy that he was likely better off to win, but McGrew doesn't improve, not this time.
No, looks like he Luke seemed to he slowed down by only 1/10 of a second there. Actually, even less, so 1/2 of a second. So that leaves the door a little bit open for Hendricks to see if he can find any more time, but it's going to be very, very difficult with a car that's slipping its clutch like his car is, unfortunately.
And out of turn 11, here comes Hendricks across the line. Needs to beat a 35.736 to move up the order. He will not. 38.334.
Did find 1/2 a second, but it's not enough. He's got to try. It's a big gap to get back into the 35s. We'll see what Dallas Reed can do if he can find any more time on his second lap.
Dallas Reed throttling up now across the stripe here, and 1:41.670 is his previous best. And Seth Brown jumped ahead of him, but again, Reed no pickup this time. Will Brown find some more?
Yeah, let's see what Seth Brown can do.
Yeah, a little bit.
Hendricks' 38 is not that far off of his qualifying pace, so it's possible that Seth Brown could overtake him for that 3rd place spot.
Yeah, just got a 1/2 a tenth or so.
And Luke McGrew is still out there. He's about, wow, getting real sideways at 10B. No grip left on those tires. Midway through 10B, just sliding laterally through 10B, trying to put power down. We'll see what he can do on this last lap.
Yeah, he's already seated now at the top of the order. This will be coming back to the checkers. Luke McGrew gave up an opportunity to win IBOC GLTC last year to buy a C8 Corvette, then bought this to continue competing. Does not improve, but he didn't need to, at least not yet.
35.992 again, just so consistent. Only within 3/10 of his first lap. That's the epitome. That is Luke McGrew. Really impressive. A great job in this podium sprint in Street GT.
And here comes Nicholas Hendricks. Again, I don't know that he's got anything for Matthews or McGrew, but sitting on a podium spot right now, so defend from Brown.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be happy that he's stayed on the podium. If he stays on the podium with these last two competitors, he finds more time, another half second, 38.030. So that's very impressive from him to be able to keep improving on his time. I think he's on VTORs, which can tolerate more heat than some of these other tires.
Yeah, Dallas Reed pushing in the C8 Corvette. A lot of technology difference between his car and Seth Brown, the one that's trailing.
And you could hear the traction control on exit for that car as he was coming out of turn 11, but no improvement for Dallas Reed. Let's see what Seth Brown can do. 39.1, so he found 0.2 of a second, but not enough to take that third spot away from Nick Hendricks. Your podium in Street GT is going to be Luke McGrew by less than 1/10 of a second over Ryan Matthews, and then Nick Hendricks behind them in third.
Impressive drive by Luke McGrew and Ryan Matthews. I know that he's focusing as well on the street mod situation, but again, I think he might have been better off doing one more just to make sure. But if he only felt like he could go fast on one lap, then maybe that was the wise move.
They both have data systems in their car. They know how far they are from their optimal time, and it's totally possible he made another mistake somewhere on that second lap where he felt there's just nothing left here. So he just doesn't want to risk his performance in the street mod category, so he decided to pull in early. As we see Dewey DeWitt, your first street mod competitor coming out there now.
Yeah, street mod has always been a battleground here, and Dewey's so passionate about the sport of time attack, and he always, talks on his heat exchanger podcast with Devin Giles and occasionally Jamie Santos about, growing the sport and how to make it a spectator experience and how to get people involved in it, making the cars look good, throwing down the records, making people really understand how much work goes into this. Well, Dewey DeWitt is doing the work, ground pounding, making his voice heard, which, if you know Dewey, isn't all that hard.
No, it's not very hard.
But Boogeyman is that Subaru Impreza L, and he's on track top seed. There is Kyle McHugh, track mod winner and second place finisher in street mod last year in that Super. There is Andy Smedegaard in the Super K Honda S2000.
Only separated by they were only separated by 0.3 of a second in the qualifiers. So both of them reset street mod track records. Andy Smedegaard in the rear wheel drive and Dewey in the all wheel drive, as we see Ryan Matthews there hopping out of his After Dark Speed C6 into his After Dark Speed C5.
And there's John Rode qualified in. I'm excited to see what this car can do. A little kick up of the rear. Pit lane looked a little slippery. I saw a couple other cars sliding tires leaving there.
Yeah, you're always a little bit surprised when you come out of pits.
I've looped it there in a Miata. An NA Miata with 80 horsepower I've spun out there.
Yeah, I've done it where I've spun the rear tires coming out of pits, and I'm like, I was barely in the throttle here. What's going on? And here comes Dewey DeWitt on his first lap. Let's ride along with him as he comes into turn 1, gets the car nice, rotated, nice and early apex, powers out of there, uses a little bit of the track out to set up for turn 2 here. Nice and clean, nice tight line, takes that late apex as you see the car rotate on power beautifully as he's coming into turn 3.
That line was carved so nicely into turn 3 as well. A little bit of understeer on initial turn in, but he got it rotated and now throttling out. Everything has looked pretty nice so far.
Looking nice and clean, nice and tidy. That's exactly how you want to be driving in this format. Coming into turn 5 now. Again, nice and tidy, good line through there. Gets to the apex of 6, key there, powers down the small straightaway into turn 7.
Yeah, looking very, very good in the first 2 sectors here for Dewey DeWitt. Now tracking out to turn 7, ride the rim here, let this all-wheel drive system accelerate this car on the wide radius, tuck it in for turn 8. This has been a very, very nice lap. But the challenge, is sometimes nice laps are slow. Sometimes they're just delicate and they're done nicely, but sometimes they're a little bit conservative. Dewey will turn up the knob next time around if he needs to.
Yeah, but honestly, this looks like just the right amount of conservative. The car is slipping under him. Got a little bit early on throttle there, but the rest of the lap, the car's been slipping underneath him, but he's hitting his marks. Very impressive driving so far. Let's see what his first run can do. He's not that far behind John Rode up the road here, so hopefully that doesn't play into it for these next couple laps.
Dewey DeWitt leaves turn 11, setting the benchmark time here for street mod. Top seed, what's it going to be?
See what he can do. A 30.6 is what he run before, 31.9, so 1.3 seconds slower. That's about on pace for what we've seen in Street GT. So let's see what Andy Smedegaard can do. These guys are bitter rivals. They've been fighting each other in street mod since the beginning of Grid Life, so it's going to be really fun to watch. This Super K, as it's called by ASM, driven by Andy Smedegaard. Let's see what he can do on his first lap.
Across the stripe for Andy Smedegaard in Super K, 33.1. That he's going to need some more.
Yeah,
and if you look at the top of the screen, you see the track records from this weekend.
Yep.
Andy's time's not far off from Dewey's, so I think those cars are capable of battling each other on pretty level ground.
Yeah, Smedgaard, you know, Dewey has a little bit of an advantage here in these conditions. There's less grip out there, so the all-wheel drive really helps him power out of corners. And as Kyle McHugh goes 32.526, he takes that second spot away from Andy Smedgaard, as Ryan Matthews is going to be the next to cross the finish in that C5.
Here comes Ryan Matthews, fresh out of the street GT car where he placed second in Podium Sprint. Going to try to do the same or better in Street Mod. Across the stripe for Ryan Matthews.
34.
That's not exactly what he wanted to see, I think.
He's a little bit less off pace than some of his competitors, but it's still not enough. He ran a 32.8, so about 1.2 seconds slower, but it's not going to help him to move up in these Street Mod standings.
John Rode across the line in the MX-5, 134.1, about a 10th behind Ryan Matthews in the Corvette.
Only a 10th behind of his qualifying time. So John Rode is on pace here. Let's see what Dewey can do on his second lap. We didn't see as much of it here, so it'll be interesting to see whether he finds any time here.
And it'll be one more lap for Dewey, but this lap, is it a pickup? Is it an improvement? The answer to that question is no. 131.937 is where he will stay. Can Andy Smedegaard pick up?
He slowed down quite a bit there, Dewey, 38.7, so I wonder if he cooled the car down to try and see if he can set a better third lap.
Well, he might be vulnerable. Kyle McHugh only 0.6 back. Smedegaard this time through picks up 132.7, but not enough.
1.5 tenths behind Kyle McHugh, but he's going to be the next to cross the start finish on his third lap, coming into turn 11 now.
Kyle McHugh hard on the brakes here in the 29. Almost saw a little glowing from underneath the front tires. A little kick out of the rear. Flames shooting out the back. Here he comes across the stripe. Kyle McHugh hunting Dewey DeWitt. 131.655.
He gets him.
Top of the board.
131.655 by about a quarter of a second. So now Dewey has to put it together on his third lap. That's he doesn't know that this is what's happened, though. I'm sure he has radios. His crew must be radioing him now. Ryan Matthews goes wide at turn 11. I'm not sure he's going to improve on his 34.0 here.
Across the stripe for Ryan Matthews, and he does not. 134.027. John Rode in the 51.
Yeah, let's see what he can do coming into turn 11 now. Needs to be a 34.191.
And it will be no pickup that time for John Rode. Here comes Dewey. He'll be coming back to a checkered flag. Dewey DeWitt, top seed in Podium Sprint. Currently 3/10 he needs to defeat Kyle McHugh, who knocked him off the top step a moment ago. Here comes Dewey DeWitt across the stripe for the number 70. Is it going to be a pickup? It is not. Dewey DeWitt.
32.280, so he cannot beat Kyle McHugh here. Smedgaard is going to be the last to see if he can beat Kyle McHugh's time. Looks real rowdy through turn 11.
Here comes Andy Smedegaard across the stripe now, and it is not going to be a pickup. I don't think 132.7 will be where he stays in P3. Kyle McHugh has already claimed the top step unless Matthews or Rode can somehow find a couple of seconds. He's off pace.
Slow.
He's done. I think he'll look at that time and know that that's going to be pretty solid. I don't know that he knows it's as quickest, but that's pretty solid.
Hugely impressive. That's only 0.3 of a second slower, or excuse me, half a second slower than his qualifying time. So he was on pace there. Dewey's going to be definitely disappointed to lose out the Podium Sprint to Kyle there.
John Rode in the 51 and Ryan Matthews, the last two drivers here in Street Mod before we get the track mod cars on track. And I think Ryan Matthews is also pitting in.
Yep.
Has nothing left. And here comes Rode.
Yeah, Rode is going to be the last car out on the track now. Let's see if he can find any more time. It's unlikely that he's going to reach into the podium here, but we'll see how he finishes this lap.
That needs about second and change to do it. And Dewey's still sliding around. Here comes John Rode across the line. And no pickup. He will stay 134.191.
Yep.
Man, for Dewey, 0.3 of a second. And losing out to Kyle McHugh.
Yeah, he, you know, I think he was just a little bit too off pace as Andy Smedgaard is drifting out there, showing off that S2000 rear-wheel drive. That's one of the OG Street Mod cars. It's a DCT with a turbo K24 being usurped by the new era of Street Mod cars driven by Kyle McHugh in that A90 Supra.
Yeah. 2 classes left to go, Track Mod and Unlimited. And this is sort of what we've been waiting for, the throwdown for Alan Patton. Now, track records have already been set. Alan Patton is now the holder of it, and I don't think anyone's going to touch it. I don't think even he's going to touch it today. But just to watch this car for a lap is always a treat. We'll see what he's got left in the tank here to put on display.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. He's going to have the track to himself, mostly to himself. Not going to have to be dealing with any traffic. The speed delta between this car and every other car out there is so big that it's really difficult to get clean laps in it. So he's gonna, I'm sure he's gonna revel in the wide open track he has here right now.
Leaving turn 3 now, warming up. Tires and brakes. There's a 299 Colton Druskowski.
Yeah, I didn't see Austin Barnes ahead of him, so it could be Austin Barnes did not manage to keep his car together for the podium sprint, unfortunately for him. So, and then there's Justin Peachy, who was your 4th place qualifier here. And then Chris Smith is the last to be released off the pit lane. He is your 5th qualifier for podium sprint. Yeah,
Chris Smith in the 212, looking to sort of undo the issues from CMP, where he was really a front-running car. Could have won that event, but things didn't quite work out for him there. So trying to improve and get back up on the top step. But again, Alan Patton. Remember that Alan Patton has a track record, but Alan Patton could lose this race weekend right here. This is what this podium sprint's all about. You need to get at least 1 lap that's faster than everybody else. If you don't walk away with the trophy. That's how this works.
He, in the qualifying sessions, he put 3 seconds on Austin Barnes. He put almost 5 seconds on Colton Truskowski, but he's got to get it done here. He's got to put 1 solid lap in this session to secure that win.
Here comes Alan Patton. Slow warm-up lap. Throttle down. Here we go.
Sounds so good. I was just leaving it so you could hear the noise. Here comes into turn 1, a nice clean turn 1 entry there. Tracks out on exit, sets up for turn 2 beautifully, nice and neat. He's been having troubles with turn 1 a couple times this weekend, so he executes those well.
Much tidier line, and Chris Drum telling us that he had swapped out the rear bar, and a damper change should help the mid-corner on this car. It was really struggling with balance earlier in the weekend, but they've been chasing it all weekend long. Doesn't struggle with power, though, that's for sure.
Yeah, this is a very, very neat lap. Very understated lap from Alan. I wonder if he's just building up slowly to it. It definitely doesn't look like he's 100% on pace compared to what we've seen other laps from him.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he's completely all the way to the wall here, but he doesn't really need to be. Truskowski in that Viper, I think, is going to be competitive, but maybe not a 128.8 like Alan Patton ran.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect him to be in the 128s. I would imagine he's looking for a low 30. So we'll see whether he gets to that pace on this lap. It definitely looks a little bit more calmly driven, a little bit underdriven compared to what we're used to seeing from him in that car.
All right, now unleash all the horsepower on the backstretch. And we'll see if he can do 2 laps in a row. I don't, typically cars like this, true time attack builds, are really good at 1 lap. But we'll see what he's got. Last corner here for Alan Patton. Throttles up across the line. Track record, he said earlier in the weekend, a 128.894. It will not be that. What will it be? 32. A 132.1. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
That might leave some door open.
Yeah, it definitely does. That's definitely further off the pace than we've seen in these other classes. It looked like it, so we'll see what Colton can do in that Viper, whether he's got anything for him, a 34.293. I can't say I'm that surprised, but to see Alan drive at that pace is surprising, I think.
Yeah, and again, you don't need to match your pace from earlier. You just need to be better than everybody else. So if he knows he can be a couple seconds off and still claim it, there's not really a point to go much faster. Again, conditions are not optimal for a track record right now.
As you see Chris Smith lose the rear end and have to catch it midway through 10B. It's, Alan's thing could be he's just trying to conserve the machinery for upcoming weekends. So we'll see what Chris Smith can do here. I didn't see Justin Peachy. I'm not sure if he made it through an entire lap or not.
Chris Smith across the line, and the 212 BMW 135 flat that time through.
Yeah, so he's going to give Colton Druskowski a run for his money for that 2nd place spot.
Patton's knocked off. Yeah, he's not going to go anymore.
Yeah, it looks like he's just taking it easy there. That car was doing consecutive hot laps earlier this weekend, which we've never seen it do before. Interesting strategy, but he must feel like he has enough in the bag that he doesn't really have to push it in this session.
Yeah, we've only had 3 cars trip the timing. I don't know where Peachy has gone.
He did leave pit lane. I saw Peachy leave pit lane, so he might be stranded out there somewhere. Okay. Yeah.
Hearing he had gone back to the pit lane, thanks to the production truck for giving us that.
Yeah, so we basically have our podium fixed here. Alan Patton takes the win in track mod. Unless Colton Jaskowski, he's going for a third lap, so he's probably cooled down the car, and now he's going to try and go for a faster third lap. Not sure if he has anything to worry about with Colton right behind him.
No, well, Colton did pick up a little at 133.327, but again, I think you need a little bit more, and Chris Smith is stopped.
Oh, no.
Where is that?
Looks like it could be exit of 10.
It's exit of 3 right in front of us
oh,
here.
Yep. Yeah, on the inside of it, but yeah, right before the kink of turn 4. So yeah, I think this effectively neutralizes the podium sprint session for these guys. So Alan doesn't get a chance to set another fast time here, and Colton gets slowed down as well. Both of them on their third laps, so that's going to be it for the session. Alan is going to take the win in track mod, followed by Colton Jaskowski in that V10 Viper, and Chris Smith in third.
All right, Alan Patton gets it done, maybe to no one's surprise. He's been pretty solid all weekend long, not only in GridLife GT, but also in track mod. Gets the record, gets the win, and he'll walk away with a trophy after this one.
Yeah, he just did a nice, solid, no drama lap to secure a win that he must have felt he would only lose the win if he had a really huge mess up, like a 4 off. So he didn't take any chances there.
I would like to point out that the street mod times were quicker than the track mod times.
Oh yeah, that's true. Definitely, Kyle, Dewey, and Andy pushing each other to be as fast as possible. Yeah, they definitely left it all out there, and I'm sure Colton and Chris Smith feel the same way. I definitely suspect that Alan definitely drove that car at maybe 80% of its full potential, which is totally understandable given the gap that he had built up in qualifying and the danger of putting 4 wheels off automatically disqualifies you from the podium sprint.
Well,
so
80% of that car was good enough to get a first place trophy, so that'll do. Rescue guys are on their way to go grab Chris Smith. In the meantime, we've got Unlimited queued up, and there's only a couple of these cars, so this should be a pretty quick go here in just a moment's time. Full course yellow displayed. So again, they're going to send out some safety trucks to go grab Chris Smith. Should be a pretty quick flat tow. Hopefully there's no fluid or anything, and we'll carry on. And it looks like we've only got 3 cars displayed up here.
So Lauder is back there as well. So Luis Endejas didn't show up to the grid position. So we only had 4 unlimited competitors this weekend, so we have 3 of those 4 there. But it was a close battle for a bit between Andreas Bertulis in that RC4 he's out of the car right there, getting back in, and Ernestus Pazulis in that Corvette. I wonder if Ernie's going to try and beat Alan's time during this podium sprint as a little bit of a brag, So maybe he's motivated to put it all out there, but it'll be interesting to see whether they do all 3 laps. I think that Ernestus, is on Michelin SM9s that do take a lot of heat to come in. So, yeah, I'm not sure what Bertulis is on or Lauder. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do that in Unlimited.
Yeah, Chris Smith, he stopped on the racetrack too, so I guess he couldn't have been trailing any fluid.
Well, it could be that he was afraid that he was, and he just decided to stop. Hopefully not. That would involve a more lengthy cleanup than than this. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
They are lining up the track mod cars.
Unlimited. Oh no, they're not going back out. No way.
I wouldn't think so. That was their 3rd lap, so it would make sense to me that they wouldn't be let back out. But it looks like they're lining up to. I think it's fun that Alan is, he doesn't really need to be putting another lap in, but he's like, hey, if you're going to give me another lap, I'm going to take all of the track time that you offer me.
Yeah.
They get one more.
So, looks like the BMW is getting pulled. They're going to give the track mod cars one more go, but I imagine Unlimited is going to be pretty quick after.
Yeah, it'll be one flyer. They're going to come out for the out lap, get themselves all warmed up, and then go out again for another flyer. Alan's just out here putting on a show in that car, I think. I'm not complaining. I get to hear a jet engine fly around the track for another lap. That sounds fun. We'll see. We'll see if he can beat a 32.124. If Alan can hear me, I'm going to throw down the challenge. I want to see a sub 30 in podium sprint, Alan. No excuses.
we'll see what he's got. Safety boy is going to bring the BMW back to the paddock, and we'll get the track mud cars one more go, and then the unlimited cars shortly thereafter.
Yeah, we'll see where they drag Chris Smith. You take a look there at that's Alan Patton in that C7, gridded up ahead of Colton Druskowski in that V10. Both of them getting best value for dollar in terms of lap time in this podium sprint. And then behind them is our last class to go, our unlimited competitors, Ernestus Pazulis, Andreas Bertulis, and Jeremy Lauder in that Camaro behind them. Lots of American muscle here. Only American muscle, these last 5 cars out here. Colton Druskowski with that big, I think those are like 8-liter V10s. That's a lot of fun. Those sound very unique. And then, yeah, Alan with that, it's a stock C7 Z06 motor, LT4, I believe, so supercharged small block. Well, technically not a small block. I'll get beef from small block enthusiasts about that. It's a push rod with a big supercharger on it, and it makes cool supercharger whine noises. What more could you want? Yeah, as they drag Chris Smith back up the pit lane here. So as soon as he gets by, we're going to release the track mod cars. They're going to get their warm-up lap in, and then they're going to get their flyers in. It also wouldn't surprise me if they release the unlimited cars right behind them in this session in order to keep it going here. There's only 3 cars, so it's still only 5 cars out on track. I don't think that would be, and they're all very similar pace, so it wouldn't be a huge deal if all of them were released at the same time. We still have track mod first, the first 2, so the order will be a little bit more clear once these cars run. So here comes Alan Patton, released first out of this pit lane.
All right, so Alan Patton's going to go back out for another lap here, and Colton Druskowski goes again. Ernie Pizzellis, Andreas Bertulis, and Jeremy Lauder waiting to go in unlimited for their podium sprint run here. The Viper, we'll see what he's got, but again, Patton about a full second quicker, but there's so much more on the table for that 304, but already claimed the record, already has that point, already leading the category, so I don't know that he's going to go quicker.
Yeah, there is absolutely no reward on the other end of the risk equation here for Alan. I don't think Colton has anything in hand to try and beat him in the podium sprint, and any 4 off is going to negate all of his time. So plus, track mod cars are very expensive to maintain and replace parts on. So an off where it could rip off a carbon fiber splitter or carbon fiber diffuser would not be a very worthwhile task, considering he has the lead clearly here.
So Patton working his way around the course, Druskowski as well. Again, I don't know that this extra lap is going to change anything here, but they were already on lap 3, so I guess question that, but we'll see.
It's for the show. Alan Patton in that supercharged, that turbine sounding car. It's great to watch it. Any lap that we get to watch Alan Patton drive around in this car is a reward to me, Kyle. Yeah, let's see, here he comes into turn 11. Let's see if he goes full tilt. You see here the supercharger whine on the downshift from that sequential.
Well, here comes Alan Patton again. We'll see if he's got anything more to go quicker than a 32.1.
Sounds so good. Into turn 1 now. Nice and neat through there. Not using all the track out on exit. Still neat and tidy, keeping it tight around turn 2. You can hear the traction control pulling spark back to try and keep the rear wheels hooked up. Turning into turn 3, a nice late apex, hits it right, and then he's off down the 3-4 straight, or the 3-5 straightaway through that little kink in turn 4, which in this car is probably flat because of the aero, but without aero, it would definitely not be flat. Colton Druskowski is definitely catching him though, so he's definitely even further off the pace, I think, than the 32, and Colton seems like he's actually on a very good lap.
Yeah, we'll see Alan Patton here down into turn 7 with the Corvette.
Let's see what he can do. He's, again, just setting up for that turn 8. Very difficult visuals there as you're trying to late apex to set you up for this turn 9 into 10A complex here. Tracks out nicely from 9, hits that apex at 10A on his way to 10B here. Nice and tidy through there. A little bit of a tighter line through here. Struggling to put power down on exit. He's pitting. He's giving the point by signal to Colton. Let's see what Colton can do here. Yeah, Colton's on a flyer here. He's looking really good. If he can get into the 32s, that would be extremely impressive for Colton Druskowski. Coming through turn 11 now on exit. Here he comes. Let's see if he sets down a flyer here on this bonus lap, so to speak, for Colton Druskowski.
Nothing.
34.352. So no improvement for Colton. Conditions definitely coming away from these drivers, as we're about to see our last class, our 3-car unlimited class here up next. Starting out with Ernestus Puzelis in that C6 Corvette with big arrow on it. And slicks. In Unlimited, you're allowed to run 0 tread wear race tires compared to the rest of our classes, which are 200 tread wear limited. So it's a little bit of a different beast. These cars are can be faster. Famously, Ferris Khartoumi is probably our most famous Unlimited car, has set many lap records here in that car, as Ernestus Puzelis gets released from the pit lane. He's going to be your first Unlimited competitor out there. Blows the blend line a little bit into turn 2, but that's okay. There's no other cars out there. Colton Druskowski here coming in on his in lap here. We'll see when they release Andreas Bertulis. It looks like they're about
Andreas
to release
is
him
out.
now. Yep,
so
there
there's
he is.
Alexis.
Yep, and Jeremy Lauder just got released from pit lane in the Camaro. So 2 coupes and a sports car here in Unlimited. Let's see whether let's see how this shakes out. It's unlikely that we'll see a shakeup in the order, but it'll still be fun to watch these cars go around the track here. Jeremy Lauder there. That car was actually rolled at Pikes Peak, and they did a ton of body work repair to that car, and it looks great. Hopefully he gets a rewrap here soon as we watch Ernestus Puzelis. Big arrow on that car coming through the 789 complex now. The white sidewall there makes me think they are Michelin's. The Michelin branding is white and blue on the sidewalls of those cars, so it's very likely an SM9 Michelin compound on that car. Right height looks a little bit high, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, but you know, we're listening to the rush cars also like scraping into turn 11. Yep. There's so much compression going in there. It's not necessarily downhill, but you're going from super high speed. You're leaning on the brakes so hard that it just grinds the nose into the ground. Yeah,
and there's definitely an optimal height for the splitter to operate in its best performance. He seems a little bit high from that, but again, this track is a little bit rougher than some of the pro tracks we go to, so it's understandable that he's got the car set at a higher ride height as he comes through turn 1. Doesn't use all the exit of turn 1. Digs in nicely on the inside of turn 2 and powers out nice and tidy for Ernestus Puzelis.
That car rips, and it reminds me a lot of what Ferris Khartoumi's car looked like for a year or two before it really got wild, before he built the second one. There's a lot of similarities there. Yeah, this is only a little wild. Ferris Khartoumi's car is extremely wild, and it's kind of interesting because this aero package looks dimensionally similar to Alan Patton's track mod aero package, and Alan is going faster on 200 treadwear than Ernie is here. So yeah, definitely, you know, that C7 is arguably more prepped for its class and overall than this car is. So it'll be interesting to see how his time compares to Alan's very dialed back time here in this session. Here comes through turn 9, hugs the apex, and then sets up for turn 10B. Nicely on the outside on the entry, comes in, hits the apex in the middle of the corner, and then uses the hill, catching him on the outside to power down and come down the longest straightaway on this track from turn 10B to turn 11. Here it comes into the braking zone, brakes nice and early in the 3rd brake marker, turns in, hits the apex nicely, and then tries to track out as much as possible. Does not get onto the curbing on exit. Nonetheless, a very neat and tidy first lap from Ernie here. From the 32. The 32-2. So Bertulis, I think, where is he seated at, Bertulis? He's first. Or Bertulis, excuse me, is second. 33.06? 33.608 is his best time. If he finds some more time out there, he could give Puzelis a run for his money, but it's a little bit unlikely. 35.863. So, yeah, unfortunately, just doesn't have the pace there. Ernie is really only half a second back from his qualifying pace, so he's definitely threatening Allen's 32.1 lap time that he set earlier, a lot more conservatively, I would say. Whoa, Lauder! Oh, wow, Lauder just had a big wiggle there. Something looked like something just got all crossed up.
Yeah.
But he got it sorted, and he'll go straight again, but that's going to be a throwaway lap for him.
Yeah, let's see what he does on his second lap here as Ernie has gone by 7-8-9 and Bertulis is now into 5-6. Let's see what Jeremy Lauder can do on his first lap. Coming through the exit of turn 11 now, coming down the start-finish straight and crosses the start-finish line of 45.643, so definitely not on pace. Had a couple of issues at turn 10B with that car. So let's see what Ernie can do here. Next up, I think he's, coming down the back straight now into turn 11.
Last lap of the GRIDLIFE Track Battle Podium Sprint next time by. So this will be the final lap that Ernie is about to begin. 32.2 last time by across the stripe. Ernie Pizzellis, 1:30.973.
That's his best time of the weekend. 30.973, so he found more time than his qualifying time. He's definitely gotten more comfortable with that car at this track, and these tires love heat.
Yeah, here's Andreas Bertulis. 1:35.863 is not going to get it done this weekend. It'll be second place, but not a first. Can he improve this time? He'll begin his final lap now. Across the stripe for the 171 Lexus RCF, 1:35.758. It's a pickup, but not good enough for a P1.
Yeah, not enough for Bertulis. I think he knows he's just here to. He's just defending his second place position, trying not to get any 4-offs. Oh, gets real sideways on the exit of 10B. Let's see what Jeremy Lauder can do with a little bit of a cleaner lap here on his second lap. Coming through into 10B now. Let's see if he can keep it neat and tidy. Last time he got all sorts of crossed up here. A little bit of lots of turning there, a lot of inputs to make that corner. So that car maybe not handling as well as it should be, but he's coming down the back straight into turn 11 now. Let's see if he can improve on a 45 second lap time here. His qualifying time was a 39.789, so he's going to be aiming for that sub 39s here in this session.
Yeah, Jeremy Lauder's just not
42.758, so no help there. We'll see what Ernie can do on his last lap. It's kind of a good thing it's his last lap. He could catch Jeremy Lauder if he had one more lap here.
Checkered flag for Ernie Pizzellis in Podium Sprint at Midwest Festival. A 1:30.973, 1:30.656 goes to the top of the board, stays there. I think Bertulis will have to find 5 seconds to defeat him. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, we caught Bertulis in the middle of correcting, in the middle of as he was leaving 10B, so this lap probably not going to be any faster for him, but nonetheless, a great effort for him. He's going to come in second place here in track mod, very likely, as he crosses the finish line now.
Checkered for Bertulis, and it is no pickup. He stays second place, and Jeremy Lauder, I don't think, is in any position to go quicker, but we'll give him one more opportunity here. This car, again, Pikes Peak Hill Climb car last year. It's been a fun weapon to watch in on the limited category, but just this weekend has not quite been set up. There's Ernie Pizzellis in the 338. A 1:30.656. That's a first place trophy in Unlimited.
Yeah, takes the win in Unlimited here with Andreas Bertulis in second and Jeremy Lauder in third. A very small Unlimited category class for us. I think we had a pretty large Unlimited class in Road Atlanta and CMP, so a little bit fewer competitors showing up, Unlimited competitors I should say, showing up here for GRIDLIFE Midwest Fest. So nonetheless, really happy to see everybody get out there in this session, and Ernie setting personal bests in the last session of the weekend.
So with a podium sprint complete, we'll have a look at our results here in a moment's time, but the Track Battle Championship, round 3 of 9 in 2025. Have a look at Club SC. Mike Jansen steals it from David Best. Sam Dooling splits the difference, second place there. Ryan Mukherjee and Chris Rice. Wrapping up your podium sprint results here at Midwest Festival. In the Falcon Club TR category, it was a pretty spicy fight because Mario Moroni went off at turn number 1.
Yeah, Mario Moroni had that 4-off, which negated his entire podium sprint session, unfortunately for him.
And again, seeing the Club SC results here, Jansen, Dooling, Best, Mukherjee, and Chris Rice. Again, 1/10 of a second between the two. There's the Club TR results there. The internet's real slow over there. Stan Feingold, Jeremy Bailey, Mike Bryant, top 3. The 326, 13, and 94, your podium. There's street class, Andy Holst, Josh Halka, and Charles Millerito.
Yeah, your surprise winner with Andy Holst, Brad Moore in 4th, and Mike Coons in 5th.
Yeah, great results there. Street GT, Luke McGrew steals it from Ryan Matthews, who had to pit in early to jump in his street mod car. Nick Hendricks in 3rd, then Brown and Reed 4th and 5th. In the street mod category, Kyle McHugh by 0.3 of a second defeats Dewey DeWitt over Andy Smedegard, although both Dewey and Andy set new track records in street mod. In track mod, Alan Patton, no records there, but beats Colton Druskowski by about 1 second and 2/10. Chris Smith third, grabs the third place trophy. And in unlimited, Brazelis defeats Bertulis and Jeremy Lauder. And we'll take a look at highlights from the track battle podium sprint. It was David Best out early, top seed in Club SC, but he and Sam Dooling and Mike Jansen battled it out for a couple laps. Mario Moroni goes 4 off, and just like that, disqualifies his hopes at a trophy this weekend. Peter Granberg gave it all he had, but it only could match the 5th that he had at Road Atlanta. Stan Feingold wins in Falcon Club TR with a solid lap. Andy Holst, top seed in street, kept it there all weekend long.
Yeah, a very surprising competitor in street takes the win here. And Ryan Matthews, in his first car this weekend, gets beaten by Luke McGrew, who beaten by about 1/10 of a second in street GT.
Yep, and then Kyle McHugh does a nice job in street mod. Solid lap, was able to chase down Dewey DeWitt, who was sliding his car around Alan Patton, about an 80% lap, but was able to get it done regardless. Broke the track mod record earlier in the weekend, and then Ernie Pizzellis out there in his Corvette gets the job done in the unlimited category. But yeah, Ernie Pizzellis fills out unlimited. The track battle podium sprint round 3 of 9 from GRIDLIFE Midwest Festival is complete.